Alright, so let's continue. So I think we can start with the delete part, as it's the only thing left in terms of functionality on this screen. So let's do that. Heading back to the project. Now eventually we will also be creating a cloud function which will be called whenever the user deletes the link document, and it's going to delete the respective document from the root level links collection, just to ensure everything is in sync. But for the time being, let's just work on the client side. So within the account component, we have the links state, which is an array, and we are mapping over it in order to create the link card component. So let's create the function right over here, and we will be calling that when the user clicks on the delete button, which means that we will be forwarding it to the link card component, and we are going to call it when the user clicks on this. So let's do that. Over here we can name the function as handle delete link. Now in order to delete the link document, the only thing that we need is the document ID. So we will be getting that via the argument. So let's name it as link doc ID. Makes sense. Let's also add in the async keyword. Now for the time being, let's just log the link ID over here, and let's pass this function to the link card component. Now instead of passing the function the way that it is, we can abstract that logic of passing the argument right over here, as we have the link and the ID. So for that we can pass in the prop of delete link, which will be an inline anonymous function, and we can call the handle delete link function with the link.id. And now we just need to call this function when the user clicks on this button. So let's first destructure it right at the top, and let's call it when the user clicks on the button right over here. So if we do that, and if we take a look in the console, now when I click on the button, there we have the document ID. So that is great. That's exactly what we need. So now over here within this function, we just need to make the request. Let's do that. Await, and I think I can actually copy the reference. Let's do that right over here. We can copy the same thing. And one more thing, we are kind of using the same reference over here. Well, actually one minute, I kind of need to check one thing. So we are kind of referring the same reference, the path reference, a couple of times, although the method that is being called on it is different. Like in the case of creating the link, we are using the same path, but we are calling the add method. And when we are fetching the links, when the first render happens, we are again kind of using the same path. So it kind of makes sense to shift this path into a variable of its own. So let's do that. Over here we can name it as what should we name it? Links path. Makes sense. And it's going to be this thing without the await. So now over here, where is it? Over here we can refer the links path, and we can call this method. And let's do the same thing with the use effect links path, and we need to call the get method. And I think we should refer it as links path ref. Makes more sense. So now if we do this, and if we take a look, it should work fine. That's great. And one second. All right, so let me just try creating a link as well. New, oops. So that's working. So that's great. We have the link. All right, so now that we have the path in a variable as a reference, we need to refer the same thing. Let's do that. Over here, await the same path, and to this we need to refer the document. Just a second. All right, so the doc will be the link doc ID in such a way. So that's great. and make sure the links path ref is next to, like it's below the user UID as it's using it over here. Now we just need to call the delete method as such. So we will be updating the local state, but for the time being let's just test it out. So now I will be deleting any link. Let's delete this one. If I switch back to the emulator, as you can see, it has been deleted. So that's great. Now if I refresh, it should be like we should be getting the new links. So that is great. It means that it's working. So now in order to update the state locally, like in the app component level, the component state, what we can do is in over here we can use the set links. Let's do that right over here, and we will be passing in a function, because if we do the first argument with the link will be the links, or to say the old links, and we can just filter this array using the filter method, and as the filter method returns back a new array, we can use the same thing to update the state. So it will be called with individual link, and we want to delete that one which has the ID doesn't match to the link doc ID. Like we want to keep all those links where the ID doesn't match the one that we just deleted. So now if we do this thing, and if I refresh, if I click on this thing, it has been deleted. So that's great. And yep, everything's working fine. So yeah, that is the delete functionality. So